All right, we're going to generate a program that prints letter grades based off of the percentage score that a student got. We're going to start by drawing the flow chart for the program and look at specifically at what we're looking to do here. So the idea is the user enters a grade, which most likely for us will be a double. And then what we want is if the grade is less than or equal to 100, but greater than or equal to 90, the program outputs an A. If the grade is less than 90, but greater than or equal to 80, it outputs a B. If it's less than 80, but greater than or equal to 70, it outputs a C. If it's less than 70, but greater than or equal to 60, it outputs a D. And then anything else should output an F. Grade, that would be grades less than 60. And we also want to check that the grade the user enters is between 100 and 0. And so this should be our first check as we build our program. So let's try to make a flowchart to see how this is going to work. Let's come over here, and flowcharts usually begin with an ellipse. So I'll put an ellipse here, and I'll put it up in the start of my program. And in it, I'm going to say, this is my start. Text is a little small. Let me see if I can make my fonts bigger. Yeah, I can over here. That might be a little too big for other things. We'll make it around this size. All right. Oops. And then what I need to do is I need to move my flow from one element to the next element. And so the next element in flowcharts, we use rectangles to represent internal processing. I'm going to come here, and inside this box, I'm just going to initialize scanner and create grade, which is a double. And again, let me make the text bigger here on this. So our program will start. It'll initialize scanner and create a memory for a grade double. And then it has to get input from the user. And so input and output are parallelograms. And in here, I'm just going to say get grade. Again, I'm letting the flowchart describe the decisions we're going to have to make, because we have some complicated decisions coming up. So getting a good flowchart will help us happen. So now comes our first check. And decisions are made with diamonds. And what we're going to ask is, make this one a little wider. There we go. So 0 less than equal to grade less than equal to 100. That's a check we'll make here. Again, I'll make this a little bit bigger in text. And we'll make that fix these things here. And so we have our first decision that we need to make. We need to figure out, is the grade in between 0 or 100? And we need to do something if it's true and something else if it's false. So I'm going to start by looking at the false direction. And see if I can move everything over a little bit and straighten out my lines here. Yeah, I'm not happy with the crooked line. Not my thing here. Let's see if I can get that to fit back. Oh, that fits on the screen just barely. Sorry about that. And so let's start with the false branch here. So if we have a false branch, we're going to want to print error. We'll print an error message out to the user. And then we're going to end down here. And so the program will come to an end. And we'll want our other branches to work their way out to an end also, because everything's going to end at the same place. And so, and we're going to label this branch false. So this is what happens on the false branch. And so now we need a true branch. And what I'm going to do with the true branch here is we're going to draw a couple of lines. We're going to get them to move. We need them to move upwards. So let's come over a little bit. This would be a little bit better on pencil and paper. I'm used to pencil and paper, but we'll make it work. And so here, this is the true branch. Let me put my text here. See if this is all staying on the screen here. Good. I like when it stays on the screen. You'll see me pause every now and again. I have to go back and forth between the program and the thing that's recording the program. My apologies on that. And so we're going to start another decision here. Now that so let's just kind of take a second to see what the program's doing. We start, we initialize scanner and create a space for grade double. We get the grade from the user, and we check to see if it's valid, if it's between 0 and 100. If it isn't, we print an error and end. But if it's true, we now have to do a filter where we test all the different values of the grades. So we have to test what values are true or false on this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to spill down here. We're going to see is grade greater than or equal to 90 will be our first test. And if that's false, we'll come over here and we'll see if grade is greater than or equal to 80. It's our little spill down. So let's put our connecting line here. And this will be for false branch. Uh-oh, I'm starting to scroll off the end of the screen here. My end statement's getting a little low. See if I can bring that back up. There we go. So if this is the false branch, we check again. But if it's true, we're going to come over here and we're going to print. I don't want that to be true. Click here. If it's true, we'll print out that we got an A. And then this is going to come to the end. Let me put my text here. This is the true branch. True branch. And then we end the program. So the logic we're taking is start, get the grade, check if it's between 0 and 100. If it isn't, print an error and exit. If it's true, then we're going to make what's called a sieve. We're going to see if it's greater than 90. If it is, we print an A. If it isn't, we check to see if it's greater than 80. If that's true, we'll print a B. If it isn't, we'll do the next part of the sieve. So let's get our print B here. All right, so we're starting to get a flow. And again, this sieve is being developed, or sieve, depending on your pronunciation. And the true values, print out the grade. And once the grade is printed, it moves to exit the program. Otherwise, all the false values do a comparison to see if the next value is true or false. So we'll come over here. We'll put our next value. See if I can get a good indentation going on here, because we're almost done. Now it's going to have a little crook in it, I think. Can't quite get it to straighten out there. But we'll come in here, and this is another false branch. And why I like creating flowcharts is our logic can get complicated. And so having an idea of what we do on true and false before we go to code it helps us see what's going to happen. And so here I've got the ABC out fairly well. And if I, and so if it's true, I'll come down and print C. And so we've got to connect the flow. And notice I'm really building how the computer thinks. I'm tracing out what the computer's decisions need to be every time I have to check a value. This will help us build the if statements that we need to work through. And so this was a true branch. And I really only have one more check. I need to check if it's a D, because if it isn't, we're going to want to print out an F. And if it is, we're going to want to print out the D. So let me widen this up a bit. And let's see here. I think that's right. We'll see if the grade is greater than or equal to 60. And we'll make our true and false branches here. And so this will be our false branch. Now remember, this goes a lot quicker with pen and paper. I'm trying to make a visual here so we can see this. But in the form of constructing this, I am laying out in my mind how the program is going to work. And then we can reference this to make sure our program is doing what we wanted it to do. So I'm going to print 2 more boxes here. This is going to print the D. I'll move it down. Let's move it down a little bit here. And I'm also going to print out the F option here. Print F. Not print F like a formatting, but print the letter F to the screen. And we've now created a good logical path flow. Again, this structure is usually called a sieve or a sieve, again, depending on your pronunciation. And it shows the flow of filtering out higher values or particular values. Every time this thing runs, it starts by generating a filter on the highest values. And so let me get rid of that object. And so this would have been the true branch for here. And this would be the false branch for here. All right, so we've now generated a flow chart. It shows how the program flows from beginning to end. And the logic we need to do to print the correct grade to the screen is encapsulated in this kind of spilling down nature of these, what will end up being our if statements. So we start, we initialize scanner and double, we get the grade, and if the grade is between the values we want, we enter this. And so here we'll sieve off anything greater than 90 and print A and end. If that's not true, we come down and we grab anything that's greater than or equal to 80. Because we've already filtered out the greater than or equal 90, this is guaranteed to be less than 90. And if that's true, we print the B. If it's false, we do the same thing. And so we have this skimming off, but all termini end up in the same place, even if we got an error here. So in the next video, I'm going to turn this into code. And we're going to use this diagram to generate all of our code.